Good day, Senator Cramer. I'm proud to be here with my JCRC colleagues, Laura Zelle and Susie Greenberg, and this is Steve Hunegs, and I'm the Executive Director of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Minnesota and the Dakotas. And we're here to thank you for your national leadership in the passage of the Never Again Act. And thanks, of course, to Jason Steverick of your staff, who has been assiduous in his work on behalf of the legislation. And we're very proud to have done our little part in connection, but of course, all the congratulations flow to you for taking the lead in making sure this important legislation on behalf of Holocaust education was passed and has become the law of the United States. 75 years ago was VE Day, and we know that the sad truth says that 66% of millennials cannot identify Auschwitz and 41% of all Americans can't identify Auschwitz. You serve on the Senate Armed Services Committee as a proud North Dakotan. Among many things, the legislation vindicates the memory of our greatest generation. And I'll give you an example. I'll just quickly hold up this picture of Bob Bain from Bismarck, North Dakota. Mr. Bain and Gladys and Charles Fedora, deceased survivor of the Holocaust, and I had the pleasure of participating in a program at Bismarck State College in conjunction with the North Dakota National Guard and General Dorman to remember the Holocaust in Holocaust Remembrance Month in April. You may not know that Mr. Bain was a veteran of the 89th Infantry Division, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, and crossed the Rhine River under fire, and ultimately participated in the liberation of the Ohrdruf concentration camp. Senator, you've made it possible to honor the sacrifice and the courage of Mr. Bain and the thousands of North Dakotans who served in World War II, and to help continue to learn the lessons of the Shoah for the good of all Americans and indeed mankind. So we thank you. We thank you for your leadership. We thank you for making it possible to allocate more resources for Holocaust education. And we thank you for your goodness and decency. So thank you very much to you, to Jason, to your entire staff, and to the good people of North Dakota for making this legislation possible. And it's now my pleasure to allow us to hear from first Laura Zelle, and then Susie Greenberg of our JCRC team, who are both expert in Holocaust education, have done so many wonderful things to help educate people throughout the upper Midwest in the Shoah and the lessons that we learn from the Holocaust. Laura.
Thank you, Senator Cramer. By supporting this national thought leading institution, it actually allows us in the Midwest to turn to this institution for programming, for their expertise, in reaching out to local teachers, and for their research. We work with many fellows that are trained at the National Museum, and it allows us to disseminate curriculum and set up trainings, not just to teachers in Minnesota, but to teachers in North Dakota. One example is we're looking forward to upcoming collaboration around the traveling exhibition called Americans in the Holocaust, which is set to come to North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota. So thank you again for your support to the National Museum.
And I just want to add that this bill, expanding Holocaust educational programming, will improve awareness and understanding of the Holocaust and further quality education across the U.S. Thank you so much for making this bill pass.
My name is Alejandro Baer, and I'm the director of the Center for Holocaust and Genocide Studies at the University of Minnesota. And our work is motivated by the hope to inspire students and educators to fight hatred and strengthen democracy in our region. For that reason, we are very grateful, Senator Cramer, for your support of the Never Again Education Act.
Hello, I'm Colleen Bell. I teach Holocaust and Genocide education at Milaca High School. I am also a 2018-2019 Museum Teacher Fellow at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Senator Cramer, for your support of the Never Again Education Act. This education is vital, and it will be very important to our students.
Greetings, Senator Cramer and colleagues. My name is Christy Irrgang, and I am a 2017 Belfer Museum Fellow and teacher at Dakota Prep in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you so much for passing the Never Again Education Act. Now, more than ever, institutions like the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum need to be funded. Now, more than ever, Holocaust education needs to be funded nationwide, including at small schools like ours. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. I commit to continuing to teach my students about historical transgressions, as well as resiliency and perseverance.
My name is Dan Wildeson. I'm the director of the Center for Holocaust and Genocide Education at St. Cloud State University. In 2020, young people are coming of age in a post-truth era and are consequently vulnerable to a whole range of influencers. Those who deny and distort the historical reality of the Holocaust often subscribe to the kind of ideology and mindset that led to its occurrence. In addition, ignorance of that event and other genocides impairs and limits the development of one's moral imagination. The Never Again Education Act is an example of the kind of vision that recognizes the important role of secondary education in developing critical thinking and cognitive empathy through the lessons of the Holocaust and the use of multidisciplinary tools. By demonstrating commitment and tangible support through its framework, the Act has the potential to create momentum in research, resources, and programming for teachers and the centers and programs with which they collaborate.